welcome everyone. My name is Janet. I'm working through the King James Bible. Today I am in the book of Exodus and I am working through the chapters 16 to 19 today. So as always, I keep telling everybody there are links under this video to each chapter so you can read through the detailed information that's laid out in the King James's Bible there. So let's get into our chapter 16. So remember in the last chapter, the Israelites were camping out in a lovely place called Elim. You know, they had palm trees, they've got all they need, there they are. So we move on in chapter 16, where the Israelites have now left Egypt for a month. So they've been away from the place for a month. And they're in the wilderness of sin between now Elim and Sinai. So that is where they are. They could be the wilderness of sin because they are still doubting God a lot of the time, and doubting when they've gone through so much already. They have gone through leaving Egypt. I mean, they've been in slavery for 400 years. God's helped them leave Egypt by casting all of these, plagues at Pharaoh. They must have seen it. There's so much, pretty amazing things have happened. They've seen locusts, they've seen lice, they've seen frogs, they've seen hail, thunder, darkness, and then death. They flee, they see the Red Sea open, they get away, and they are still doubting. You're like, you can't believe it when you've had so much of a physical experience like that to see. But they're doubting. So they're quick to forget where they are. The situation is all they seem to care about, the right now, the present moment where they are. They have no food, and they're moaning and groaning, saying, why did we leave? And so they're thinking that Egypt is better than where they actually are now, because at least then they had food. They're just forgetting the horrendous conditions that were placed on them there, to keep working all the time and just taking the straw. Pharaoh took the straw away from them, and they were having to go and get that, and the slave masters want them to create the same amount of work in the time when they had the straw. So they're forgetting all of that. They're just thinking about their bellies, they're hungry and they want feeding, and they're moaning and groaning to Moses. And Moses is like, come on, I'm not God. Why don't I can't do all these asking. So because of the moaning towards him, he goes to God because he's getting fearful now that they're going to stone him, because he's got them all there and he is the physical being that they're putting all their attention on for saving them out of this situation. So Moses goes to God. So God provides them with food. He brings them bread and meat. He brings them bread, which is called manna in the Bible, and meat, which is referred to as quail, which is that little bird. It's quite a delicacy, in the evening. And they're given just the amount for the day. And God says, do only take that amount. Don't take any more. Just take 1/10, which is what is classed as an omer. It's a Hebrew measurement. 1/10 of the bread, that's all that you need. And then take twice as much on the Sabbath, because obviously he wants them to rest on the Sunday. But do the people listen? No, they keep getting too much, and then they end up with leftovers, which then rot, and it's got maggots in it. It's pretty, it's like, that is a sign, just take what you need. Don't take any more than what you need. So God has brought down from heaven this bread for them in the morning and this meat for them in the evening, and right up until the Sabbath they have doubly the amount, so they've got enough to rest on the seventh day. And then this period of time is to be celebrated generations onward. So Moses takes an omer of manna to be saved for generations. And so they ate bread for 40 years during their journeying, 40 years journey towards the Canaanites, which is the land where God wants them to be. And if you read that last sentence in chapter 16, it says, now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah. And I looked up to find out what this meant. So an omer is 1/10 of an ephah, and it's a Hebrew measurement, basically. That's what all it is. So it's just to really convey that it was enough. That's all they needed. That much was all they needed each day. So that ends our chapter 16. So now we move on to chapter 17, and we are moving into battle in this section, so get ready. So they're journeying from the wilderness of sin to Raphidadim, which is where God has guided them. And that actually means rest, which is not really what is about to happen in this place. So they pitch their tents there, but unfortunately there is no water to drink. So as always, the Israelites start mourning to Moses that there's no water. And like, he must have been fed up, Moses. Like, they're constantly whining to him, you know, and going on. And then he's having to go to the Lord. And the Lord says, take the elders with you. Take your staff. Go to the rock. There's this rock. Place your staff on the rock in front of the elders and the people themselves, so they all are witness to what is about to happen. And when he places his staff on the stone, water comes out. Drinking water comes from the stone. It's like, look, people, look at these things. These are not things that happen in your everyday life. These things are miracles. Are you going to see these miracles? They're just expecting, and they're not really getting in to the truth source within themselves, tapping into God and finding their own answers. They're going to Moses for everything. But as Moses does, he goes and he does as he's told by God, and he creates this water in front of them, so they've got this visual again in their lives to see that God is there. He's going to take care of them. Just to trust, have the faith that all will be well. And now the Amalekites come and they attack the Israelites. So now we are waging a war. There is a battle on their hands. Now they're in a war zone and they're having to fight. So Moses again goes to God for guidance and he speaks to Joshua. Now Joshua is the son of Nun. He was 10th in line to Joseph. So he's part of Joseph's tribe and he is sort of one of Moses' right-hand men. So he speaks to him and he says, choose men to fight the Amalekites. And then Moses goes to the top of a hill and he takes with him Aaron and Hur. And they go with him to the top of this hill. And he has his staff as always. This staff, this rod of God is like him, its connection, you know, to that greater power. What happened was, as long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. So as long as he's holding up his hands, the Israelites are winning. But when his hands came down, they were losing. So there was a connection there between the two. So his hands are raised, it's like a connection to the highest source, and they're winning. When they come down, they are losing. So what Aaron and Hur do is they put rocks under, because he's, you know, you've got to think Moses is getting pretty old now, and it's hard for him to keep his hands up there the whole time. So they get rocks to help him to keep his hands up until sunset. So that's a long time for most of us, really, to keep our hands up. And they do that, and the Israelites win and defeat the Amalekites. And that is where we end our chapter 17, victorious. So let's move into chapter 18. Now this is where Moses meets his father-in-law, Jethro. So they meet up in the wilderness because Jethro has heard what God's been doing to help out the Israelites. So he meets up with his father-in-law, and Jethro says, look, because he sees all of the things obviously that Moses is having to deal with, which is a lot, and he says he'll take care of his wife Zipporah and his two sons Gershom and Isla. So when Moses meets up with Jethro, he tells him all about what's happened, you know, the plagues, how God has come in and how he's got them out of Egypt, 600,000 men out, how the Red Sea divided, you know, he's like relaying all of this amazing thing, and Jethro is just like, wow, that is so amazing, because he can't believe it. He wasn't even there to see it, and he is believing. He's like, so he really praises and sacrifices and brings offerings to the Lord for doing this. You know, it's like he has so much respect for what has happened, and he is giving that up, you know. So they end up having a feast in the presence of God. So that this is Aaron, Moses, Jethro, and the elders have this beautiful meal in like a worshipping celebration for what has been given to them. And Moses during this meal tells Jethro about like having to negotiate all the time through the Israelites complaining, him having to go to God, you know, to ask, and then being told what to do, and then going back to the Israelites and complaining, then him taking it on, going to God. And it's like, Jethro says, you know, this is not the right way to do it. This is not you're going to burn out. You can't keep this up. What you need to do is teach the people, pray that they will connect with God directly like you are, and teach them how to do it. You do it, so you know how to do it. So teach that to the people, and then that's going to take so much burden off you, because we all can connect to that source within. Nothing externally will shift in our lives until we deal with it internally. And that's where it is. That's what this chapter is showing us, that the power resides within each of us. Don't look outside of yourself for solutions. Look within and tap into that true source of power. So this chapter ends with Moses choosing leaders to assist him. So he's not doing this all on his own. And only the most challenging then situations are brought to Moses to then connect with God. So there's this moving forward now where it's like releasing a lot of the burden, and he's doing more of a teaching and giving back, because he's going to be here for so long, and once he's gone, that wisdom is gone. So he needs to use that wisdom in a wise way to pass on to the Israelites so that they can pass it on to their generations, and the faith will grow stronger and stronger. So there are our 3 chapters today. Succinctly going through, again, more transitions, leaving Egypt, forgetting quite quickly though, what has been, what has passed, in order to step into a strong, faithful future. Instead, they're kind of always complaining and mourning. It's that does not resolve things. Don't complain. Seek within for the answers. Find solutions. This is what we can all do, and each chapter teaches us something in our own lives that we can tap into and just better our everyday life. Do you feel powerful when you moan to people? Do you really feel yeah, I can do it now, I've had a good old moan, it's given me the... It's you don't. The power comes when you think, I can do this myself. I can get hold, and you take action on something. And then it's trust that the answers will be shown. Just take the action and the answers will be shown. And they will. That's what is so beautiful about how we've all been gifted with this power. So use it. Use it to your advantage, because it's there to guide your life, to support your life, and to move you forward in ways that you just cannot imagine until you actually step in to that truth. Okay, have a beautiful day, enjoy these chapters, and I'll see you again for more chapters tomorrow. Bye for now.